Hey there, YouTube hunters. Brad Goodspeed here. So what's this we're looking at? Well, if you look in the top left-hand corner, it says 2022 Haunt. Is there going to be a Butcher of Provincetown 2022 haunted house? No, there's not. There will not be a Butcher of Provincetown 2022 haunted house. But there's a possibility that there could be a different kind of haunt here at my house. I'm just toying with this idea. I'm not committing myself to doing anything. I feel like I have to offer disclaimers now anytime I talk about Halloween stuff, considering how long it's been. I did start working on a prop earlier this year, and I never did anything with it. I think some of you saw that and commented on it. But what I thought about doing after I watched a walkthrough video of the Dent Schoolhouse in 2021 by... apologize, I can't remember the name of the channel. I'll try and put it up on screen here. And I saw the fall fair theme they did for their queue line, with all the different booths and stuff. And I thought, how fun would that be to do something similar out of my driveway and not have it really be a walkthrough, but have it be sort of, halfway between a display and a walkthrough, something that people could meander into. So, and just sort of spend time in and enjoy and take selfies and all the rest of it. So I thought of doing the Port Union Fall Fair and pay an homage to the Butcher of Provincetown in there, but basically just make it a new thing. That was just a display with some props, and maybe some actors could hang out, and there'd be scares, but it wouldn't be like an enclosed walkthrough. So what you're seeing here is not a tent, like I've done in the past. This is basically like a mast and a line of like those white lights you would get at a carnival or a fair to sort of like cast light down on the whole thing. And it's a series of booths. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 3-foot by 6-foot booths, and 2 4-foot by 2-foot booths back to back, making a 4x4 square. This one here could actually probably end up being a smaller booth as well. But the idea is that these booths could sort of be pre-made, consisting of 2 panels, a back panel, a front panel, and then this like rectangular piece on either side that would connect these two things. Ignore the framing I have here. My friend Justin Coupland would weigh in on how we'd actually build these things. I just sort of threw something together in SketchUp. For each of these, I would create a very large sign using routers and projections, and I'd design it in Adobe Illustrator and then make an actual sign out of it. And my inspirations for this are sort of a blend of, like I said, the Dent Schoolhouse walkthrough, the great Carnival of Risk haunt done over a decade ago, I think, by Elizondo Haunt, Craig Schreiber in California, and my friend Rania Pete, who did her nighttime carnival for one of her parties that she did. Not circus, but carnival, and more like fall fair, nighttime version of that. So staying away from too much circus stuff, but bringing elements of it in there. So what you would get is, after you saw this ticket booth, which would not actually selling tickets, there would just be props in here. You'd walk in, and there'd be sort of this wall of pumpkins here that would be that's another homage to something that was done at the Dent, and just be a wall of pumpkins, and I'd carve a bunch of funkins to do that. And then this here would be the homage to the Butcher of Provincetown. This is something my son thought of, not the name. I'm still working on the name, but the idea is that there would be a puppet show, and it would be the characters from my old haunt, like the daughter and Dazbog, and there'd be trees in here, and maybe I could animate the puppets moving. I haven't decided between puppets or marionettes, because they're sort of different logistical things. Marionettes would be awesome if I could do marionettes, but if I want to animate them, puppets might be easier, or not, I don't know. You can feel free to weigh in on that in the comments. But so that would be the first booth, and it would just be, a display, and I'd probably have plexiglass on the front of this one alone. Then I would have a kissing booth, which you see at fall fairs, and I think Rainier did one of these as well. But I would aim to create a custom prop for this that was like a really disgusting looking thing that you would never want to kiss, but that people would pretend to kiss for selfies and stuff because that's fun, And then there could be an actor in there with this prop, trying to get people to come on and do it. So next up is this like bobbing for apples booth here, and I had a really cool idea for this one. Oh, I think it's cool, which is that you would see sort of sticking out of the water here, which I think I would use like plexiglass and one of those blue effects lights that show like water moving. I can't remember what you call those. But sticking out of the water would be like the butt and legs of like a kid dangling down here, as if he had been pulled into the water and drowned. And wrapped around this kid's legs would be a tentacle, as if pulling him into the water. And then another tentacle would come up here and hide this mast that I have against this wall. And it would start to climb up this mast. And then it would wrap around this mast all the way to the top. And if I was being very clever, I could maybe animate the tail of it here, since this part would be sort of exposed for the whole neighborhood to see, and it would be under these white lights that are attached to these strings here, so it would be sort of a focal point and draw people in. So this black thing you hear is, I've only done one of these, but these are supposed to like tie these structures together from the top like you would typically do. So yeah, I think that would be really cool. The feet hanging down, they could be animated as well, but I'm trying to not bite off more than I can chew here. And then there would be some like rotten apples floating in here, and so I think that's a really kind of neat thing. Now over here I've got a prop standing there. The whole point of that is this would actually be a small, creepy looking ghost kid inspired by a prop again that I saw at the dent that they have. And he's looking out, and the purpose of him really is to be creepy, but also to prevent anyone from walking this way, because this would be an area here, like there would be a sheet sort of, or a piece of fabric hanging up here to basically, this would be our access to the haunt for actors and stuff, and maybe we could keep a cooler of drinks back here or something. But mainly the idea is to control the flow of traffic so that it does not, that people are going only one way through this thing. But I like the open feeling, as if you could go that way, as opposed to having an actual physical barrier there. So now the way that they would proceed after that is this way. And originally I had a piece of fabric across here as well, but it began to start feeling too enclosed, and the whole idea is this is supposed to be an open fall fair. So I decided instead that I would probably just get a bunch of corn, or maybe even make corn, and put it on this little patch of grass beside my driveway, and have like a spinning wheel, a prize wheel, or whatever. And I would try to incorporate a scare into that. If it's too complicated to have part of it drop away or something like that when they spin it, then someone could just jump out from behind it. But I like that idea of just incorporating a scare in here. Oh, and then, another spot where there would be an opportunity for a scare actor is sort of beside the puppet show here. So then you'd proceed through into this next little area, and this was another idea that I saw in the dent video. I don't know if I would actually do this, but this is something that my boy likes, is this idea of like a basketball game that you can play. And an actor could be here saying, "Test your luck," and I have a skull mold that I can make, some soft foam skulls that the little kids can toss them in there. I mean, there's no challenge for any, normally sized person to get a hoop in there, because I've only got 3 feet of distance here with it's not actually something that most, adults or even bigger kids would be interested in playing, but it would be there more for show. And there would be prizes hanging in there, like, demented dolls or bears or whatever else I would do in there. A snack bar with some gross foods is another option. And that would be on this other side, dangling gross cotton candy and stuff like that. and opportunity for an actor there, and then this freak show here where I could, do the typical couple of props of, of weird looking things, and one of them is actually an actor that can jump at them for another opportunity for a scare. Haven't really worked out the concepts of what any of these booths would necessarily be, except for the Puppets of Provincetown, which is one I definitely want to do. And then finally you come back to my single car garage, which used to be part of the haunt. And what I thought for this is I want to do another blacklight room, which I haven't done since way back when I did my 2012 haunt, I believe. Maybe in 13 as well. But anyways, the concept here is that there would be this would all be blacked out. And I've always liked the idea of doing a dark ride. I've seen a couple of people have done that in their home, their garage haunts and stuff. I have a single car garage, and I am not technically inclined, so that's not something I could ever do. But I like the idea of a broken down dark ride that the visitors will be able to tell that they can't get on this thing because there'll be dead bodies in them and stuff, and I'll have tracks, and then these sort of two faux tunnels, which I can maybe do facades on. The idea that it runs through, but something's obviously very wrong. And then I would do sort of a blacklight display back here with a prop. This is just some stand-in I downloaded. But, I was really inspired by some of the stuff that Jeff Mays has done, especially this pumpkin prop he's working on this year. So may do something like that. But yeah, that's the basic idea. And then people could come, could leave the haunt on the left-hand side here. The way that I had them sort of do it, in the past. They could leave on the left-hand side here, and I would have a block so that they can't get up to my stairs or trip on that area here. I'd have some kind of thing that would prevent them from doing that. Or, depending on traffic, they could just, work their way back and, meander their way back to where they started, and go back out through that way and just take a look at things and enjoy themselves. So that's basically what I'm thinking. Will this become reality? At this point, I'm still going to say I doubt it. But I'm enjoying pursuing the concept and seeing where it takes me. I have limitations of what I can do physically just from an arthritis situation that I've got. So I know I would require a lot of help, but my boys are of an age now where they can start chipping in, and maybe some of their friends could as well. And I'm going to sort of pull my friends a little bit to see who's kind of interested in lending a hand to this. But it would be designed with ease of setup in mind, so that these panels could be worked on over the next year and painted on different weekends and stuff like that, and then just be ready to assemble. And I like to have things really planned out so that they're if you remember from when I used to do my haunt, so that it's modular and easy to put together at the last minute without a ton of detailing. The way I'm approaching the puppet scene and the bobbing for apples scene is I would have a mock-up of each of these kinds of booths sort of here, and set up, and then I could have or even just sort of like a table set up here that represents these dimensions, and I would create an insert with all the the puppet work and the mechanics and everything kind of ready to go, so that when this booth was assembled, it could just slide in, plexiglass put on and done. And then same thing with this. I'd have to figure out a way for one section of the tentacle to be to just sort of plug on to this pre-made pair of 2x4 masts that I've got. And then, this whole section would have to be sort of pre-made and ready to just drop in, and then, be good to go. But, there would be lots of prop work to do, but not a crazy amount, considering I've given everything away from my haunt except for tools and materials and stuff. So I don't want to have to buy a bunch of new things, some funkins and some props I can make some from scratch with PVC and all the rest of it. And I'd have to, fabricate some kind of dark ride vehicle, and, I have to look into all that. But I have a Pinterest page I put together with a bunch of inspiration. Some of these images I may have put up during this edit already of things that I've looked at. I have sort of stylistic impressions in my head of what I would like this thing to be. And I'm enjoying just, thinking about that. And for now, it's giving me creative satisfaction to do that, and we'll see how far it takes me. But, my kids are of an age now where they are old enough to sort of lament the fact that they were too young to really take part in the haunted house when I did it and when it was at its heights. And I don't want to return to having a big walkthrough that absolutely consumes my life for months out of the year. Although I do miss those times, I just don't feel capable of doing that anymore. But this is sort of a scaled down but ambitious idea of what I could do. Something that's really fun. And honestly, one of the things that I like about it is the refreshingness of having it not be tied to the Butcher of Provincetown mythology, just because, as much as I love that story and I love everything that I put into it and I love the movie script that I wrote for it and all the rest of that, you run out of, juice for a certain idea after a while. I mean, I still love it, but it's failing to inspire me to do new things. So something that's a little bit more sort of, slightly more kid focused, but I'm going to, put my dark angle on it. My dark sort of take on it, but like things like, drowning kids and like there's going to be real creepy stuff in here, but having it be a bit more, a little bit less dark, a little bit more whimsical, a little bit more fun. And we'll just see where that goes. Like I said, this may be the most you ever see of this idea, but for now, I'm just going to keep enjoy playing around with it, see where that takes me. So hopefully you are all doing well. I guess you are all, many of you anyways, are struggling to get 2021's haunted house put together, with only, around 10 days left to get that done. I probably don't appreciate someone putting out ideas about what they would do a whole year after that. But again, this will be probably my second year in a row where I do like absolutely nothing. Don't even have decorations on out. But there's a possibility that the following year I would do something more. Or maybe the year after that, or who knows. Or never. This is a giant disclaimer that I'm going to say over and over again. So anyways, while, for those of you struggling to put together a haunt, or who are just in the place I am, which is dreaming of the idea of putting on a haunt one day, in either case, happy haunting.